3 simple exercises to lower blood pressure fast. Are you tired of watching your numbers creep up every single time you check them? What if I told you that just 3 exercises, done for a total of under 1 hour a day, could bring your systolic pressure down by close to 10 points and your diastolic pressure down by nearly 5 points in as little as 2 to 4 weeks? Right now, over 1.2 billion people worldwide are living with high blood pressure. And here's the part almost nobody tells you. Most doctors will hand you a prescription and send you home without ever mentioning that specific, targeted movement can retrain the way your blood vessels behave every single day for the rest of your life. Cardiologist Dr. Amelia Stone has spent years studying how simple, low-cost movements affect the cardiovascular system, and what she found changed the way she talks to her own patients. These 3 exercises work by triggering nitric oxide release in your blood vessels, improving the flexibility of your arteries, and calming an overactive stress response that keeps your pressure locked in the danger zone. Before we go further, I want to be completely honest with you. These exercises are not a replacement for medication, and if you're currently taking blood pressure medication, please don't stop it without talking to your doctor first. What these exercises can do is work alongside whatever your doctor has already recommended, and for many people, support a real, measurable improvement over time. Stay until the end, because I'm going to reveal the one timing mistake that quietly cancels out everything you're doing right, even if you perform every single exercise perfectly. Here's what's exciting. Most people with high blood pressure have no idea that something as simple as squeezing your fist for 12 minutes a day can trigger blood pressure reductions that rival what people see from starting a new medication. Exercise number 1. The first exercise to lower blood pressure fast is isometric hand grip training, specifically sustained squeezing that activates your body's natural nitric oxide production and helps your arteries relax. Isometric hand grip exercise involves squeezing a grip device, a stress ball, or even a rolled up towel at around 30% of your maximum strength for 2 minutes, resting for 1 minute, and repeating that cycle 4 times. Here's what researchers have found when they pooled the results of more than 30 clinical trials involving over 900 participants. People who performed isometric hand grip training consistently saw their systolic blood pressure drop by an average of 5 to 8 points, and their diastolic pressure drop by 2.5 to 4 points. And here's the part that surprised even the researchers. The effect was even stronger in people who already had high blood pressure compared to people with normal readings. Think about what's actually happening inside your body during that 2-minute squeeze. Your forearm muscles compress the blood vessels running through them, temporarily restricting blood flow. Your body interprets this as a local stress signal, a threat to the oxygen supply of that tissue. In response, the cells lining your arteries, called endothelial cells, ramp up production of a molecule called nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is one of the most powerful natural vasodilators your body produces. It relaxes the smooth muscle in your artery walls and allows your blood vessels to widen. And here's the beautiful part. This effect isn't limited to your forearm. Because nitric oxide circulates through your bloodstream, the relaxing effect reaches arteries throughout your entire body, in your heart, your brain, your kidneys, and your legs. This is exactly why such a small, localized exercise produces a whole body drop in blood pressure. You're not just working your hand. You're sending a chemical signal to every artery in your body to loosen up. The optimal intensity sits at around 30% of your maximum grip strength. To find that level, squeeze as hard as you possibly can for about 2 seconds to get a sense of your max, then aim for roughly a third of that intensity during your actual training. This moderate intensity creates enough stress to trigger the nitric oxide response without exhausting your muscles or spiking your pressure dangerously during the exercise itself. The blood pressure benefits don't show up overnight, but they build steadily. In the first week, your endothelial cells start responding more sensitively to the compression signal. By around week 2, many people notice their resting blood pressure beginning to ease down. The most significant improvements tend to appear somewhere between 6 and 12 weeks of consistent practice, and the benefits generally hold as long as you keep the habit going. The equipment could not be simpler. A basic hand gripper costs less than the price of a coffee at most sporting goods stores, or you can skip buying anything and just use a rolled hand towel. What matters far more than the equipment is consistency. Keep the pressure steady for the full 2-minute interval without letting your grip weaken halfway through. Set a timer, because 2 minutes of sustained squeezing feels a lot longer than you'd expect once your forearm starts burning. Your breathing during this exercise matters more than most people realize. Never hold your breath while you squeeze. Holding your breath during a strain triggers something called the Valsalva effect, which can cause a dangerous temporary spike in blood pressure. Instead, breathe normally and steadily through the entire 2-minute hold. Some people find it helpful to count their breaths, aiming for somewhere around 12 to 15 breaths per interval. The 1-minute rest between squeezes is doing just as much work as the squeeze itself. During that recovery window, blood rushes back into your forearm, delivering fresh oxygen and flushing out metabolic waste. This return of blood flow triggers another wave of nitric oxide release and helps train your arteries to respond efficiently to changing demands. Don't rush through the rest periods just to finish faster. You'll shortchange the very mechanism that makes this exercise work. Alternate hands throughout the session so the training stress is distributed evenly. Start with your dominant hand for the first 2-minute squeeze, rest for 1 minute, switch to your non-dominant hand, rest again, and repeat until you've completed 4 total squeezes. Done this way, the entire session takes exactly 12 minutes, start to finish. The benefits of hand grip training go beyond the immediate nitric oxide effect. Regular practice appears to improve something called baroreflex sensitivity, which is your nervous system's built-in ability to regulate blood pressure moment to moment whenever you stand up, feel stressed, or start moving. A more responsive baroreflex means fewer dangerous pressure spikes throughout your day, and over time, less strain on your arteries and organs. Many people also notice their resting heart rate drift downward alongside their blood pressure, a sign that their heart is pumping more efficiently with every single beat. Before we move to exercise number 2, I'd genuinely love to know where you're watching from and how you're currently managing your blood pressure. If you're working on lowering your numbers naturally, go ahead and subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. And if this has been useful so far, drop a comment and let me know. I read every single one. Here's what most people don't realize. The way you breathe, every single minute of every single day, is quietly steering your blood pressure through its direct connection to your nervous system. Exercise number 2. The second exercise to lower blood pressure fast is slow-paced breathing. Specifically, controlled breathing at around 6 breaths per minute, which activates your parasympathetic nervous system and can bring your pressure down within minutes of starting. Paced breathing involves inhaling slowly through your nose for about 5 seconds, then exhaling slowly through your mouth for about 5 seconds, which works out to roughly 6 breaths per minute. Compare that to the 12 to 20 breaths per minute most of us take without even thinking about it. Clinical research on slow breathing training has found reductions in blood pressure in the range of 3 to 6 points systolic and 2 to 4 points diastolic, with consistent daily practice of around 15 minutes. That might sound modest compared to hand grip training, but the mechanism is completely different, which is exactly why combining both exercises produces a bigger total effect than either one alone. Think about the contrast between how you breathe during a stressful moment versus how you breathe when you're genuinely relaxed. Rapid, shallow breathing activates your sympathetic nervous system, your fight-or-flight response, which increases your heart rate, tightens your blood vessels, and drives your pressure up. Slow breathing at around 6 breaths per minute does the opposite. It maximally activates your parasympathetic nervous system, your rest and digest response, which slows your heart rate, allows your blood vessels to widen, and lowers your pressure naturally. The mechanism runs through specialized pressure sensors in your carotid arteries called baroreceptors. These sensors monitor your blood pressure continuously and send signals up to your brainstem. When you breathe slowly and deeply, the rhythmic pressure changes inside your chest, stimulate these baroreceptors in a pattern that appears to enhance their sensitivity over time, helping your body regulate pressure more smoothly, not just during your practice session, but throughout the rest of your day too. The 5-second inhale and 5-second exhale pattern also creates something called respiratory sinus arrhythmia, a natural healthy variation in your heart rate that rises slightly as you breathe in and falls as you breathe out. Breathing at around 6 cycles per minute pushes this variability to its peak, which is generally a sign of a well-balanced nervous system. Belly breathing amplifies the effect. Place one hand on your chest and one on your abdomen. As you inhale, your belly should expand outward while your chest stays relatively still. This diaphragmatic pattern draws air more deeply into your lungs and creates larger pressure changes inside your chest cavity, which in turn stimulates your baroreceptors more strongly. Your posture matters too. Sit in a comfortable chair with your back straight but not rigid, feet flat on the floor, hands resting on your thighs or your belly. This upright position lets your diaphragm move fully and your lungs expand properly. Timing changes how this exercise works for you. Practicing first thing in the morning helps establish a calm parasympathetic tone before the stress of the day builds up, which may help blunt the natural morning blood pressure surge that tends to coincide with the highest risk hours for cardiovascular events. Practicing again in the evening, closer to bedtime, can help lower stress hormones and improve sleep quality, which circles back around to support healthier blood pressure the next day. With consistent practice over several months, many people report lasting shifts in how their nervous system handles everyday stress, meaning the calm doesn't just disappear the moment they stop breathing slowly. It starts to show up in traffic jams, difficult conversations, and looming deadlines, situations that used to send their pressure climbing. Some people find it helpful to pair their breathing practice with simple visualization, picturing their blood vessels loosening and widening, blood moving smoothly, their heart beating at a slow, steady rhythm. There's reasonable evidence that combining breathing with this kind of mental imagery can produce a slightly stronger relaxation response than breathing alone, likely because it reinforces the same nervous system pathway from two directions at once. What makes this exercise so accessible is that it costs absolutely nothing and needs no equipment at all, no gym membership, no special clothing, just 15 minutes and a quiet spot to sit. That simplicity removes almost every excuse that normally gets in the way of consistency. If this is helping so far, take 2 seconds to hit the like button. It genuinely helps this video reach someone else who might be quietly struggling with high blood pressure and has no idea natural strategies like these even exist. Here's the game changer. The simple act of walking at a brisk pace switches on several blood pressure lowering mechanisms at once, from an immediate nitric oxide release to long-term improvements in how flexible your arteries actually are. Exercise number 3. The third exercise to lower blood pressure fast is brisk walking. Specifically, 30 minutes of walking at a pace where you can talk but you can't sing, performed at least 5 days a week. Brisk walking means moving at roughly 3 to 4 miles per hour, which works out to covering about 1.5 to 2 miles in 30 minutes. This moderate intensity creates a strong cardiovascular stimulus for lowering blood pressure without the joint stress or injury risk that comes with running. Studies on regular aerobic walking programs have found average reductions in the range of 5 to 8 points systolic and 3 to 5 points diastolic after around 8 to 12 weeks of consistent training, 5 days a week. Unlike the short, sharp nitric oxide burst from hand grip squeezing, walking produces a more sustained elevation in nitric oxide that lasts through your entire walk and for a good while afterward. Think about what happens in your body while you walk briskly. Your leg muscles contract rhythmically, squeezing the veins running through them and helping push blood back up toward your heart against gravity. This muscle pump reduces blood pooling in your lower legs and keeps circulation moving efficiently. Meanwhile, your heart rate rises to meet the oxygen demand of your working muscles, gradually strengthening your heart muscle and improving how efficiently it pumps over weeks of consistent training. The increased blood flow during walking also stresses your endothelial cells in a good way, prompting them to produce more nitric oxide, which relaxes your arterial walls and lowers resistance to blood flow. Over time, this repeated stimulus appears to produce lasting improvements in how flexible your arteries stay, even when you're not exercising. Walking also carries weight-bearing benefits that neither hand grip training nor breathing exercises can offer. Every step creates a small impact force that stimulates bone-forming cells, helping preserve bone density over time. This matters enormously for older adults, who often face both high blood pressure and a rising risk of osteoporosis at the same time. Walking addresses both at once. There's also a mental health angle that circles back to your blood pressure. Walking outdoors, especially somewhere green like a park or a tree-lined street, tends to reduce cortisol and anxiety more effectively than walking indoors on a treadmill. Lower stress hormones mean less chronic activation of your sympathetic nervous system, which allows your blood pressure to settle into a healthier baseline over time. You can gauge your ideal pace using the talk test. You should be able to speak in full sentences, but not comfortably carry on a long conversation, and definitely not sing. If you can chat away without any effort, you're moving too slowly to get much cardiovascular benefit. If you're gasping and can barely speak at all, you're pushing too hard and risking an unsafe pressure spike. The sweet spot sits right in between. Good form matters more than people think. Stand tall, head up, eyes forward, rather than staring down at your feet. Keep your shoulders back and relaxed, instead of hunched forward. Let your arms swing naturally, with your elbows bent to around 90 degrees. Land on your heel and roll through to push off with your toes. Good form lets you walk faster with less effort, which makes it much easier to sustain your target pace for the full 30 minutes. If 30 consecutive minutes doesn't fit into your day, you don't need to force it. Research on breaking exercise into shorter chunks has found that 3 separate 10-minute walks spread across the day can produce blood pressure benefits similar to one continuous 30-minute session. That flexibility alone makes this goal realistic, even on your busiest days. Start wherever you are right now, even if that's just 10 minutes at a comfortable pace. Add about 5 minutes a week until you reach 30 minutes, and only then start working on speeding up your pace. This gradual build prevents injury and burnout, while creating a habit that can genuinely last for years, not weeks. Walking with a friend or a group tends to dramatically improve how long people actually stick with the habit. There's real accountability in having someone waiting for you, and the social connection itself takes some of the edge off daily stress, which indirectly supports healthier blood pressure too. Here's what changes everything. Combining all 3 of these exercises doesn't just add their individual benefits together. It appears to compound them because each one works through a slightly different pathway, and together they reinforce each other in ways that a single approach on its own simply can't match. So here's the ideal daily schedule that fits even a genuinely packed day. Do your 15 minutes of paced breathing first thing in the morning, right after waking, either still in bed or immediately after getting up. This sets a calm parasympathetic tone before the stress of the day has a chance to build. Fit your 12 minutes of hand grip training into a natural break in your day. Mid-morning or mid-afternoon works well for most people. You can squeeze while seated at your desk, during a phone call, or in front of the television, since it needs no special setup at all. Plan your 30-minute brisk walk for whatever time you can most reliably protect. Many people like walking right after work, as a transition between work stress and home life. Others prefer a walk before breakfast or after dinner. The specific hour matters far less than picking one you can actually stick to, week after week. Altogether, that's under 1 hour a day, and most of it can overlap with things you're already doing. Breathe while you're still lying in bed. Squeeze a stress ball during a video call where your camera is off. Walk while running errands, or as part of your commute. Fold these into your existing routine instead of treating them as 3 separate appointments, and the whole thing becomes far easier to sustain long term. Here's the shocking truth. Exercising too close to bedtime, especially within about 2 hours of when you turn in, can actually interfere with a healthy overnight drop in blood pressure that your cardiovascular system relies on to recover. Your blood pressure naturally follows a daily rhythm. It rises in the morning, stays relatively elevated through the day, and then dips somewhere around 10 to 20% while you sleep. That nighttime dip is genuinely protective, giving your heart and arteries a chance to recover from the stress of the day. People whose blood pressure fails to dip properly at night carry a meaningfully higher risk of serious cardiovascular events. Vigorous exercise late in the evening can keep your sympathetic nervous system activated well into the night, blunting that natural dip. A reasonable rule of thumb is to finish vigorous exercise, like your brisk walk or your hand grip session, at least a few hours before bed, giving your heart rate, body temperature, and stress hormones time to settle before you try to sleep. Paced breathing is the one exception to this rule. Practiced right before bed, it can actually support better sleep and a healthier overnight dip in blood pressure, because it directly activates the exact nervous system pathway your body needs to wind down. Many people find that 10 to 15 minutes of slow breathing helps them fall asleep faster and stay asleep longer, which then feeds back into better blood pressure control the following day. So here's where that leaves us. Isometric hand grip holds for 12 minutes daily can trigger a meaningful whole-body nitric oxide response and support healthier arteries over time. Paced breathing at around 6 breaths a minute for 15 minutes activates your parasympathetic nervous system and strengthens your baroreflex. Brisk walking for 30 minutes, 5 days a week, builds sustained cardiovascular conditioning that strengthens your heart and keeps your arteries flexible. These 3 exercises work through different complementary pathways, which is exactly why combining them tends to outperform doing just one. And the total time commitment, under 1 hour a day, fits into even a genuinely busy life, especially once it's woven into your existing routine instead of treated as extra homework. Many people start noticing small changes within 2 to 4 weeks, with the fuller benefits building over 8 to 12 weeks of consistent practice. And I want to say this one more time clearly because it matters. These exercises are here to support your health, not to replace medical care. If you're on blood pressure medication, please keep taking it as prescribed and talk to your doctor before making any changes. And if your numbers are unusually high or you're feeling unwell, please seek medical attention rather than waiting on lifestyle changes to work. Avoid the one mistake that quietly undoes your progress. Vigorous exercise within 2 hours of bedtime, which can interfere with the healthy overnight dip your heart depends on. Save your walking and your hand grip training for the morning or afternoon, and reserve breathing exercises for the morning and, if you like, again right before bed. Your action plan starts today. Pick one of these 3 exercises and start it right now, today, even if it's just 5 minutes of breathing or a short 10-minute walk. Then plan when you'll add the second and the third. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Progress comes from showing up consistently, not from doing everything perfectly on day one. If this video helped you understand how to support healthier blood pressure through simple, evidence-informed movement, share it with someone in your life who's dealing with high blood pressure and could use a natural, practical starting point. Subscribe for more content like this, turn on notifications so you don't miss what's next, and thank you genuinely for spending this time with me today.